Welcome back to Soul Shift, the podcast where real life, science, and soul all get a seat at the table. I'm Mindy Gorman Pletzer, and I'm here with my beautiful co hosts, Christine Morgenstern Shin and Allie Anderson. If you're new to Soul Shift, this is a space for people, especially women in midlife, who are navigating big shifts in their bodies, in their relationships, their work, and their sense of self. We talk about the moments that change us, the nervous system behind it all, and how to come home to yourself in the messy middle of it. Today, we're exploring something that touches every single one of us, the journey from feeling unseen and hiding parts of ourselves to showing up with clarity, courage, and authentic connection. We're talking about confidence, not the loud, performative kind, not the fake it till you make it kind, but the quiet, aligned, deeply rooted kind that comes from truly knowing and truly trusting yourself. Our guest today is Kim Carter. Kim is a connection and confidence coach who helps entrepreneurs and leaders build real relationships that actually move their business and life forward. Her work is rooted in her own journey from growing up feeling unseen and hiding parts of herself to learning how to show up with clarity, with courage, and authenticity. And today, Kim teaches that confidence isn't about being the loudest in the room. It's about being aligned with who you truly are. Through coaching, speaking, and storytelling, she helps people stop shrinking, start connecting, and lead from a place of trust and purpose.
Welcome to Soul Shift, a sacred space where modern science, ancient wisdom, and real life come together in perfect harmony.
Each week, we explore the gentle art of transformation. Soul Shift holds space for your beautiful, messy, perfectly imperfect human experience.
Meaningful change doesn't have to break you open. It can unfold softly, like morning light.
Together, we'll uncover tools that honor your truth, share conversations that touch your soul, and celebrate the exquisite complexity of what it means to be human.
Your presence here is a gift. Let's shift with grace,
With love.
Together.
So, Kim, welcome to Soul Shift. We are so delighted to have you here.
Well, thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here today.
Great. So, let's dive in. Kim, your work is deeply personal. And I know what makes you so powerful as a coach is that you're teaching something, not teaching something that you read in a book, you're teaching something you lived. So please share a time in your life when you hid or felt like hiding. Take us into that experience.
Well, I was about 6.5 years old, and I was in the first grade. And at that time, I had buck teeth and a pixie cut. And when I walked into school with my new pixie cut, this little boy started screaming, "Who's the new boy in the class? Who's the new boy in the class?" I was so embarrassed and humiliated that I did the only thing that I knew how to do. So I hid in the coat closet. I opened the door, I squat down, and I shut the door, and I stayed there until my teacher gently pulled me out. And I can tell you that I did not grow up with a lot of confidence, and I had that feeling of wanting to hide, and I carried that with me for a very long time. And one day, my mother said something to me that I will never forget. She said to me that I didn't get along with anyone. And that went straight to my heart. What happened was I was arguing with a neighbor, and I came home and I told my mother about that. And the reason why I was arguing with my neighbor was because she was being very mean and ugly. And my mother really didn't understand the situation, and so that was her response, to tell me that I didn't get along with anyone. So I spent a very long time trying to prove her wrong. When she said that to me that day, I absolutely rejected that. And even from a young age, I really had a strong sense of who I really was, and I felt like I was misunderstood. So when my mother said that to me, I said, "That's not true." And from a very early age, it was hard to stand up to your parents and to authority figures that are telling you that you are something that you're truly not. And I feel like deep down inside, I always knew who my true self was. So after a while, I got braces. My hair grew long. I had long blonde hair. And I remember the day I got my braces off, I felt so beautiful. I had a smile from ear to ear. So I want to talk to you about it's so much easier to change your outward appearance than changing the inside. And those scars from the inside were not evident from the outside because all of a sudden I had a lot of confidence, but it was a fake confidence because it was a confidence that resulted from appearance, not an inward confidence. So it took me a long time to discover that confidence is really something you give yourself and that it doesn't come from outside validation. And when I told my mother that it wasn't true that I didn't get along with other people, I feel like that was a very courageous move for me at such a young age to say that back to her. Because let's face it, when your mother tells you something, you tend to believe it, right?
Yeah. It's such an incredible story, and I feel you in that story, and I can certainly relate. And when you were hiding in the closet as a 6-year-old in your classroom, what were you telling yourself then?
That was so long ago, but I was telling myself that people don't like me for the way I really am. And so as I grew up, I would, perform, I would pretend, I would try to live up to other people's expectations and be the person that I thought they wanted me to be instead of letting my true self be seen. I was afraid. I was afraid I would be rejected and that I wouldn't belong.
Yeah, so that performance mindset really just kept you small.
It really did. And then the magic really happened when I accepted myself for who I was and I liked my values. I liked how I showed up. And when I started to truly like who I really was, and when I let other people see who I really was, that's when the connections were made. And that's when I formed deep relationships that were lasting relationships. And being vulnerable is part of that connection because people resonate with that. And when you show your humanness, it's just so much easier for others to relate. They can see themselves in, a situation where they wanted to hide, where they were embarrassed to be seen.
Thank you for that. Very powerful.
Very powerful, Kim. And I think that so many of us, all of our listeners and the three of us can all kind of relate to some piece of us hiding and can really feel what that little girl felt like in the kindergarten classroom hiding. I mean, when you shared that story, it really touched my heart because I can feel that little girl and just how painful that must have been for her. you said the magic happened is when you kind of woke up to like liking yourself or being aware of who you were. How did you know it was time to make a change? How did you know you needed to pivot the way you were thinking about showing up?
I think it was when I became an adult and got out on my own. I actually realized that there was nobody who was there telling me who I needed to be. And as a young adult, 18, 20, I was free to be who I really was, to show my true self. And at that point, being young, I really didn't care. I wasn't really looking for outside validation because sometimes we think we know it all when we're 18, 20, and I just really didn't care. So I was very carefree in my expression of myself at that time.
That's beautiful. That's definitely a bold step to say, like, I'm ready to be free and show myself. Was there anything that you would share with our listeners that made that moment possible? And maybe you would just say age or time in your life, but anything internally that just made it possible to say, like, it's time. It's time to show up and just let me be seen.
Yes. I had been told the whole time when I was growing up that I was a certain way. My parents put labels, my siblings put labels on me. And being the rebellious person that I am, I said, I'll show you. You don't know me. This is not who I am. So I rejected all of those labels. And I said, well, I'll show them who I really am. And of course, it was a long process in doing that. But in the end, I really liked who I was showing up as. It did take a long while. It is a process. And coming back to my true self was just such a feeling of freedom.
What moves me in your story is that you didn't make the choice to become somebody different. You made the choice to finally become yourself. And I think that's the most powerful kind of confidence that we all can have. I mean, we are who we are, and let's embrace and love who we are. So I really appreciate this message.
Oh, thank you.
I like how you made the distinction between you being your true self and then having that feeling of freedom versus what other people were labeling you as. I mean, because we can all walk through life, you know, having that performative type of confidence. Like, I have to do it this way, right? Or I have to do it that way because a parent might have told us. But it sounds like through your journey in discovering who you are, you now have a stronger sense of not just your inner wisdom, but also it's pure self confidence, right? It's not just performative. And, looking through the lens of the nervous system, these are two totally different routes of feeling. If you feel like you have to act a certain way, you might be in fight or flight, as an example. But if you're really speaking from your heart, like you're sharing and you kind of ripped your labels off and now you're being yourself, that's that's felt from the heart. And so when you show up for your work and you're helping entrepreneurs kind of navigate through this world of how they think they should be, and how they can actually act like themselves, how do you help them? How do you support them in this way? Do you help guide them to figure this out themselves, or do you have a certain formula that you use, or can you share a little about that?
Absolutely. I help entrepreneurs feel confident and worthy to show up in any room that they enter. And I know that we might feel a little nervous if we're walking into a room and we know absolutely no one, but I help them understand that number one, walking through the door, feeling so worthy to be surrounded by the room that you're in, and having confidence to speak up. And when you enter the room, just enter as your natural self. You can walk in and smile at the first person you see. You can make eye contact. You can remember people's names when you're introduced to them. This is key because people love to hear their name. So if you can remember someone's name, that makes a huge impression because I think when we meet new people, we're pressured to feel like we need to remember. And then as soon as someone says their name, it immediately is gone. And I had a trick that I used to do. I used to try to remember people's names by attributing a specific quality about them. If I met two Sharons in the same room, then I would remember a detail about them. For instance, this Sharon has like a bohemian vibe about her, but I would mentally find something distinct about that person. Then when I got home, I'd write it down in a little notepad. Some people might think it's a little creepy, but I would write it in a notepad, things to consciously remember people. So that's a few things, but I do have a framework that I walk clients through. And I help them build their communities and relationships. Especially for entrepreneurs, they might be focusing on the mechanics of the business, getting the website, getting, the business set up. And the thing that I like to help them realize is that relationships are what are going to fuel your business. You don't have to have any of the other stuff. The relationships are going to propel your business forward. And the thing about making connections, real true connections, is the energy that you bring. When you bring a certain energy to the connection, people are so willing to support you and help you in your business. And it is a mutual thing. You'll support them, they'll support you. And it makes everything in life and business so much easier and enjoyable. It's mutually gratifying.
Thank you for sharing that. And, one word that you said that really stuck out was when they walk into the room, you said they are worthy. And just saying that word to myself, it just hits home. Like it makes me feel grounded and secure and confident. So thank you for sharing that.
So you're welcome.
Kim, you've talked about the difference between confidence and self confidence. So I'm thinking about the woman, the entrepreneur, who is very successful in that role in her life. So she has confidence. We don't know what came first, the chicken or the egg, obviously, but she's got the confidence because she's up there where she wants to be and she's achieved what she needs to validate herself. But sometimes that same woman doesn't have the self confidence. Maybe it's the self worth. Maybe it's how she is not valuing herself in the personal side of her life when she's not in the C suite, when she's not presenting, when she's not selling. How would you talk to that woman?
Well, I would definitely start out by telling her that she is so very worthy from the very reason that she exists. She is so worthy. She doesn't have to do anything or perform in any specific way to be worthy. And that's where the deep connection starts. You have to connect to yourself before you can really connect to anyone else.
Yes.
And that is work that a lot of us are still doing. You have to really find out where your struggle lies, and you have to know that it's something that is a constant evolving thing. So, the difference between confidence and self-confidence. I'd like to talk about that for a second. Confidence is just a knowing that you're worthy, a knowing that you have something to contribute without evidence. Self-confidence is reliant upon experience. So there is a difference between the two. And if you're talking about her, personal life, when she gets home from work and is not working in her business, then I would go back to once again, just knowing that you are worthy of love, you're worthy of respect, you have something to contribute, and you're so valuable. And those are just a few of the things that I would say.
Well, it's like I share with so many of my clients. There's a very, very big difference between doing and being. I think we can apply what you're talking about to that same concept. It's that inner knowing. And, as coaches, we can help our clients to realize that, but very often it requires changing a very deeply held belief system in order to embrace the fact that we are each inherently worthy. Would you agree?
Yes, I do agree. And that goes back to rejecting labels, people expectations, and know what you truly want, what truly aligns with you, not what people expect from you, not what you're told you are. And that is a great point that you made.
Yeah. Well, it's that little girl who stood up to her mother and said, "It's not true that I don't get along with people." That took an amazing act of courage and a belief in herself.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Kim, this has been a really, really deep conversation in a short period of time, and I'm really loving it and I'm feeling it also. And I think that's really important. I hope our listeners are feeling it as well. Where can our listeners find you if they want to connect with you and learn more about your coaching work?
They can find me on LinkedIn and on Instagram at Kim Carter Coaching and on kimcartercoaching.com.
Wonderful. I know our listeners will be eager to connect with you. It's beautiful.
Thank you. I have to thank you, Kim, for this courageous conversation. And you've been so generous in sharing your story. The reminder for me and the biggest takeaway is that our hiding doesn't have to be the whole story, right? That we can take one bold step, as you did, and then another, and that confidence is something we build.
I love that, Mindy. And if I could just add that, you do not have to end up where you started out. So that's what I would like to share with everyone.
Great message. Thank you again.
Thanks, Kim.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kim. And, to everyone listening, if you have been hiding and you resonate with Kim's story, whether it's in your business or in your everyday relationships or even in your own skin, if you're not connected to yourself, if you don't feel embodied, please know that being seen might be a little scary at the beginning, but it is not a weakness. You're slowly finding out that alignment of who you truly are and how you want to show up in the world. And so that your confidence is in you. It's all of us have a God given gift of our self worth. It's us maybe giving ourselves a little grace, getting out of our way, and just taking the steps to start building it. And we always say on soul shifts, small shifts create big transformations. And sometimes the most powerful shift could literally be just deciding today is the day that you start showing up for yourself. So if this episode resonated with you, share it with someone who needs permission to be seen. If you're new here, welcome to our community. Subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. Join us each week as we explore the moments that change us, the nervous system work behind it all, and how to simply come home to yourself in the middle of your beautiful, messy life. Because I think that's exactly where we all live and we can all connect to. So until next time, keep shifting your mind and igniting your soul. Thanks for being here, guys. Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. Thank you for sharing the sacred time today.
We hope something in this conversation touched your heart.
And offered nourishment for your soul's journey.
Remember, transformation is most effortless when it happens one tender shift at a time.
Until next week, we invite you to carry one insight from today into your life.
Not as a task.
Think of it as a superpower to yourself.
If something resonated, we'd love to hear from you. If you're joining us on YouTube, feel free to leave us a comment below.
Your words ripple outward, offering connection and comfort to others walking this path beside you.
If Soulship feels like home, please subscribe and consider leaving us a review.
Your support will help us reach more hearts that need to hear they're not alone.
We're holding you in love, so know you're not alone. Your journey matters.
May your heart be filled.
And may your path be filled with grace.